everybody. I hope you had a wonderful Easter. I'm going to be doing an energy update for April and May, and I'm just going to keep the door open, see what the higher wisdom and healing is for all of us during this time. We could take a look at the present day global topics of our Earth, or we could see it on another angle, the energy side of things, maybe a way we're not looking at things, kind of pulling us out of any kind of frustration or worry about where the human race is going, and bring it into something positive and safe and exciting, however it wants to be guided. All right, so I'm going to relax now. All right, so we're looking at April, we're looking at May, we're looking at right now. I'm welcoming higher wisdom, healing. What would the universe like to share with us today to help us understand ourselves, the world, to help us feel brighter, confident, however you would like to guide us. Well, I'll tell you what, not much to see, but I will say the sensation, it starts in my emotional gut, and then I feel energy just sort of moving downward into my hips, and it's just sort of bellowing there. And it's like robust, it's gently moving, it's got some density to it. It's not dragging me down, it's not overwhelming me, it's not concerning me. And I'm just allowing myself to experience it and let it follow its own heart. Let this energy move where it needs to move. Again, another experience of nothing to see here, just allowing energy to move at its own inspirations. We're experiencing the silence. You could say the silence feels like a long time, but it doesn't. Actually feels welcoming, feels peaceful. I'm okay if it's patient. It's like when you have to be patient, usually you're in a hurry, right? But if you don't have to be patient and you feel the sensation of patience, it's just like timelessness. It's like that peaceful silence. I'm in no rush and I'm okay with this. And I'm just lingering in that sensation right now. Okay. I'm starting to have some visibility. And what this reminds me of is it's like an unseen reality, an unseen reality. So it's real. It really is there, even if you can't see it, okay? And I'm standing in a really large place, and there seems to be this energetic padding around each and every one of us. And it also, from above looking down, it looks like we're kind of in a maze. And let's talk about the whole human race here in a massive maze. And we never seem to bump into each other somehow, but all this padding that creates the wall of the maze also kind of snugs us in. So we're nestled in a location in a big maze. And are we trying to find our way out externally, or are we trying to find our way out internally? There seems to be this is just the way it is. This is the way it looks. This is the way I experience it. Why is it like this? I don't know. Now that I'm gaining visibility on it, I am working through the next level of understanding. How could we be so far apart? Seems like we're internalizing. And we have the opportunity to find a new way, to find a new direction. And part of that is focusing on the exterior world. Opening our eyes and seeing not what is inside or how we are feeling inside or what we're struggling with today as an emotional process, as a human process. We have to get out of bed. There's all these pulls, you know, that keep us stuck in one place. And it's kind of a thought process, an emotional process, a resistance sensation. But it's not about all this emotional stuff. It's just very cut and dry. It's this external world. And it's as easy as opening your eyes and seeing it. It's as easy as saying, oh, look, there's a path here. Wow, I had no idea I was in this weird maze. Where am I exactly? It's kind of nice to open my eyes and see something that I didn't expect that I would see. And it isn't bothering me at all. It actually is refreshing. It's like getting to access something new, and it's a breath of fresh air. How long does a human being work on the same lessons? It feels like they linger. But then when you get access to something that feels brand new, it's very refreshing. Change. All right. We all look kind of like eggs. This padding around us is starting to look kind of like an egg shape. And there's many of us and we're in eggs. And we're in this very large maze. And we're opening our eyes and we're seeing we are somewhere. This seems like a new perspective, a new point of view. We are seeing an opportunity for change, for a new path. I see a lot of light happening inside the eggs. I see almost like sparks and fireworks, but it doesn't make any sound. But I do see this light start to develop, and it's really nice to see it. It's like light is happening in the heart of each egg. In the heart of each person there is light. And light is sparking. Seems to me that there's still a sensation of being asleep. So I have this viewpoint of eyes open, I see this new perspective, but I also have this viewpoint of still in the egg, fireworks happening without sound, but something is becoming full of light in the heart of the egg. It still feels like it's asleep, okay? And I feel that there's no rush here. There's no rush. We aren't out of time because there is no time. There's only the idea that we are running out of time. There's only the idea that there is no time left for humanity. I see that our spirit guides, our angels, God energy is not burdened or concerned about what we see is a very serious situation here. And we're talking about the world today and where are we moving, what direction are we moving towards, and how are we going to continue to evolve and grow as a collective, a group of living beings in the universe. It's easy to see the problems, not easy to see the solutions. Maybe the solutions are easy to see, maybe difficult to see those solutions making the loud impact we want them to make. We want to see the world and all of this start to turn inside out and to start to feel movement and air to breathe and good things happening. We want to see this. We want to actually see it with our eyes. And I'm being shown that there is no rush, there's no hurry. There are sort of the higher vibrational beings are looking over and they see us in these eggs. And it's like the eggs are disappearing. And some of them disappear faster than others. So I see some human beings exposed to the maze and others are still in the eggs. And it's funny because it's Easter, right? Easter eggs. All right. So, a lot has been said, but not a lot of movement has really taken place. I mean, I don't see anybody taking a step. I see eyes opening. Oh, well, this is new. Oh, I didn't expect to see this. And the fireworks are happening silently. Eggs are disappearing. So there are events here. Things are happening, but it still feels like the energy is at a standstill. It's not really, things aren't really moving here. They're still kind of, I guess, just being right now. The way I see it, let's say we're all aboard the train and the train isn't actually moving, but things are happening. People are sneezing or using the bathroom or reading a book, but nothing's really in motion here, you know? So things are happening in the scene, but I don't see any big motion here. We're talking about April and May, okay? And it doesn't necessarily have to pertain to global events and the present day human world. It could, but it could also be how we are evolving energetically, okay? What I like is peacefulness. I'm not bothered by time, so I guess you could say I'm patient, but I don't feel the impatience, so I don't really relate to the word patience. I just feel peaceful. The next scene is this. There's actually a change. It's right underneath our feet. We wouldn't have guessed it. But all of these walls, everything is drying out, is what's happening. It's all drying out on a big scale, okay? I don't know what caused it. I don't know what inspired this, but I start to see what is the moisture is disappearing and the walls and everything is drying out. And I feel it under our feet. I feel it in the walls. I feel it like in the structure of the space that we're in is drying out. I see this is a very nerve-wracking scenario for some. Some are very concerned about this. What does that mean? Let's say there's, how would I want to put this? All right, some people have a certain comfort zone with how they want to see the human race grow and develop, okay? And I mean, you could call it conspiracy theory level stuff, but you can't deny that everybody has their opinion of what creates a good world. And some of it can be extremely disturbing and imprisoning and enslaving of humanity, okay? So there is a sensation of something of an old structure is breaking down. Something of an old paradigm. It's an old imprisonment of people. And it's drying up, inevitably drying up. All things that live, even ideas, are thriving for a period of time, and then those ideas will die and they will be born into new ideas that will thrive until those ideas die. Then they'll be born into new ideas. So even ideas have a life cycle, you know? Everything has a life cycle. So all things that once were thriving will one day die. Inevitably, so it will happen. And I see that there's measures taken in order to come up with a solution to this drying out event. And I see there are strange people working in between these walls, and they, instead of using water, are using air, and they start to blow up the walls and the ground to try to maintain and hold the structure in place. But I see that the human beings that are in the eggs are not in the eggs. They don't see these beings blowing up or airing up these walls or the floor. They're just kind of peaceful and in their own state of mind, their own state of awareness. And it is peaceful. It is comfortable. It is like being patient in a joyful way. I will say this idea works. The walls are aired up. The ground is aired up. And these beings disappear. And that should hold it for a while, is what they say. What ends up happening is something new grows in place of the air. And somehow it holds the structure in place even more strongly than it was held in place before. And I ask if ideas have evolved into new ideas. And so what once was the structure has now come up with a solution or an idea to the death of that structure is now being reborn into a more solid version of itself, in order to maintain the status quo. And I'm told that, what about the people? How are the people evolving? Because you could say each person is also an idea in a way. How are you evolving in the idea of yourself, of your existence, of your world? What solutions are there for you? What are you working with? And I say, boy, it doesn't seem like anybody's doing anything. The maintenance of the walls and this floor is promptly getting taken care of, but the people are just almost like in a state of timeless pause. They aren't really changing. Things are happening, but the train is still at the station. It's like the human train remains always at the station, and the station is these walls. And the train itself that never really moves. But there are so many smiling faces because of how peculiar reality actually is. Again, the power of patience. And to allow patience to be on your side, you're not up against time. There's no rush or hurry. The power of patience will inspire you to have a peaceful, content life. And the inspirations will come as they will. And nothing is lost. And that word doesn't really even exist to them. I try to speed up time. I try to look into the future, but I'm not necessarily allowed to, because the concept of the future doesn't exist here. So the only way to access what would be like the future is to get through the patience of, we wait and see what the next layer of discovery is that reveals itself, and how that layer, as it is exposed, how it is dealt with, basically. Whether it affects the people that are out of the egg, the people that are in the eggs, the walls of the structure, we have nothing but time. They're also telling me that, okay, so our idea of a physical reality is the only reality that we could ever have access to, is the one that we can see, that we can touch, feel, we know and understand it in this way. But there's so much more to reality than just this. And so if we are thinking we have to save a physical world, that's only as real as our reality of that idea is. And who's to say that the physical world doesn't just evolve into saving itself? We don't know. So we just choose patience, and we allow the next inspiration to reveal itself to us. And that is the real movement of time. And I tell them, I say, my God, if I had to sit on a train for as long as this whole energy experience has been for me, I swear I would have died thousands and thousands and thousands of years ago, and it would probably been of boredom. I mean, over anything else. I feel like this train that doesn't leave the station is like a child sitting in their seat for days on end with only a little bag of Cheerios to munch on and maybe a little orange juice or something. It's like this never-ending thing. I mean, when is real action going to take place? Like real action, not fabricated action. Not the idea of action. We can participate in the idea of action. Like you could say the idea of war, you can participate in the idea of war, and that is an action, right? But is it evolving us as a human race, or is it just another opportunity for more things to do with our time that isn't actually helping us to really showcase what we are made of as incredible beings of this earth? I feel like that is I feel like we far surpassed that. I understand it. I understand the idea of it. I understand the suffering of it. I understand the concern of it. I understand the protection and all of this. I feel like as we focus all of our collective energy on solutions for our planet, there isn't anything else to spend our time and energy on. But loving one another, getting excited about the next invention that just came out, that's actually going to benefit everybody. They reduce the cost of living for everybody, provide homes for everybody, like solutions that actually help everybody. These should be celebrated. There should be parades over the latest inventions of 2022. This first quarter, like there should be parades to celebrate the latest inventions and technology of humanity. Otherwise, that's what's real. That's what we really get excited about. That's where the fireworks are. Otherwise, we're just sort of incubated in this maze that we aren't even clear or even aware it is there, that is constantly maintained by invisible people. And we remain either asleep or partially awake, but never really getting out of this, the train never leaving the station. And so I'm pausing for a minute here, because I could easily ask a question, but I want to see what happens. Because if I were to align with the high vibrational beings, I would be so timeless that I could go through a million phases of the walls breaking down. Oh my God, let's come up with a solution to put it back. This, is 10 times stronger. The phases of awakening, going back in the egg, like forevermore. But when is this all, when are we going to, when is this all going to just stop? When is this really going to die? Are we actually looking forward to the death? It's like so many people who don't want to live anymore, all right? That's like a serious situation here on our planet, is people don't want to get out of bed. They don't want to live anymore. But maybe it's not that we don't want to live anymore. Maybe it's that this structure needs to die. The structure that the walls and the maze is the incubation and the eggs, the sleepiness, that is what needs to stop. That's what needs to die. Not a war with each other, not a war with our fellow brothers and sisters, but actually letting it die already. Letting the air get out of the balloon and just letting this structure die. And now we can see each other. There's nothing separating our eyes from meeting each other's eyes, except the few that remain in the eggs that are actually full of fireworks, beautiful light coming from the heart. And it's just a matter of time before they're ready to come out of their shells as well. It's the structure that needs to move on. It's not immortal. The structure is not immortal. It's already fallen into decay many times. It needs to die now. The human race doesn't need to die. It's the structure that needs to die. That way we can see each other and we can celebrate one another and we can actually start to live in beautiful, new, real ideas that are so enriching and helpful and beautiful and exciting. Okay, my statement was heard. And there's kind of almighty energy that is an immortal, okay? And it's a God consciousness type being. And it decides when the structure will fall, and the structure will never fall. It is as immortal as this being, and this being will never stop. So I immediately say that then you're afraid of dying. You're actually afraid of dying. So we can die 1,000 times inside of ourselves over thousands of generations of humanity in states of depression and high anxiety and severe despair. When we do this for you, because you're afraid of dying and we are patient with you. And now it is time for you to face your fear and to stop doing this. And let us celebrate life now. It's time for an exchange. This being just kind of pointless to talk to. It just laughs and laughs and laughs and laughs and laughs and laughs. Because this being doesn't have to do that. This being doesn't have to do anything. It doesn't ever have to stop. Ever. The wheel can always keep turning. The car can, be fixed. The wheel, if it gets a break, can be fixed. Like, problems can always be fixed. It will live on forever. One thing I've been exploring is the difference between intuition and instinct. Instinct is more of a human thing, and intuition is more of a spirit thing. And I find if I ask my instinct what it would do, it does funny things. Like it would throw something in its face and just start going, ah! And like run away and hide or something. Instinct does weird things, okay? Intuition is sort of like an intelligent, unexpected decision that is smooth, that has a little more charisma to it. So I'm going to see what my funny instinct, my human instinct feels like doing in response to this. My human instinct's like, I don't know. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. What am I supposed to do? I don't know what to do. Ah! That's so funny. Like my human self is like, I don't know what to do. That makes sense. So that's my intuition. Okay, well, what do you recommend here, intuition? And my intuition says to step into the being and to remember that we are all one. And welcomes everyone to visualize what this being might look like to you and to not be afraid and to step into this being's body. Because we are the light that this being is missing inside of itself. And it's been so long that we are forgetting many things. We all are forgetting many things. And as we step into this being in spirit, the being is now like, what do I do? What do I do? Its instinct is like, I don't know what to do. And I say, what's your intuition say? I'm like telling this being, what's your intuition say? I'm kind of curious. So he's thinking. He says he hasn't listened to his intuition for a while because his intuition is telling him to welcome all the spirits back into himself. And it has been so long since he's felt this. He starts to cry. And what's interesting is all these walls are part of his body. And I start to see them as sand, made out of sand, and the sand starts to really quickly collapse, and it is going back into his body. And I start to see the eggshells and the people in the eggs or the people out of the eggs. It's not that, it's almost like an energy that would look like air to us isn't actually air in the energy world, is starting to become like a sand as well as absorbing into this being's body. It's not afraid because it says there isn't any death. There's no death, but there is basically reclaiming the next level of its own identity, and it's shifting between what is something of the darker side into something that is of the lighter side. And it is saying, as this is happening, that both are good. Both are good. And I say, what is the hardest part about being so relentlessly controlling? It seems like it would be easy to feel like you had everything. He says that it's losing it. If you feel like you have everything, the greatest fear then is losing it. It's not necessarily death. It's losing everything. It's waking up and seeing things for the way they really are. They actually are. That's why we have to start to see the world for exactly as it is. And what is right about this world and what is not right about this world. And what do we hope is really going on here? Or what do we hope will happen next? But we have to live in right now. What actually is right now happening. I see there's so much more room to breathe, and it actually feels like a much larger earth. It feels like 10 times larger, with plenty of room for everybody, and plenty of food, plenty of space. And I see laughter, and I see people seeing each other. It's really a good feeling. And it doesn't happen instantly, by the way. I mean, I still see the walls are dissolving, returning to this being, and the air is clearing, returning to this being, and people are getting a whiff of something is different about today. Something is different about the world, and it feels easier on the eyes and on the shoulders. And I see people have access to one another in a way that it didn't feel like it was there before. You know what's interesting? You know that line where they say the sheep following the sheep? Even those that are awake aren't able to see everything. And they're still sort of in the same walls as everybody else. It's the same concept of if you're a cube, like if you're a third dimensional shape, you can only understand in 2 dimensions. If you're a 4th dimensional shape, you can understand in 3 dimensions. So a tesseract could understand a cube. A tesseract could understand a 3-dimensional world, but a 3-dimensional world could not understand a tesseract. It could not understand a 4-dimensional world. So in a 3-dimensional world, we can actually only comprehend in 2 dimensions. That's why we need our guides, and we need to follow our intuition. We need to follow that voice inside ourselves. We need to follow that to help guide us through what we can't see about the world that we're living in. The closest thing I can get to understanding the tesseract is when I go into a journey state, and then I am given access to interpreting more information that I can't access it with my instincts as a human being. I've really been studying this. Has been actually quite hilarious, is if you were to tap into, okay, here's my situation, just talk to yourself. Okay, here's my situation. Okay, I'm going to close my eyes. I'm going to test Abby's idea here. I'm going to see what is my instinctive self. How's my instinctive self reacting to this? And just let whatever weird thing comes. Like you could see a cartoon image of if you was like Roadrunner running away from your situation. Who knows? Like your instinct is going to be choosing survival first. But it can take you to the right place at the right time, because that is how your guide's wanting you to work with your instinct to get you there. Or you can kind of be more of a solid, smooth, charismatic persona, listen to your intuition and your almighty higher self and see where that's guiding you. And your almighty higher self may say, well, you know exactly what to do. Why aren't you doing it? And then you're like, I'm going to my instinct and I'm just running away. So you get to feel the difference between instinct and intuition, and you can really tell a difference. You really can. So this is the message for April and May. It's many messages, and I'll let you decipher the meaning for yourself, and feel free to share what you think all of this is about to you. And thank you for being a part of this journey with me. I feel very peaceful after this. I feel really good. I feel that this is really something that is happening right under our noses. The structure that is breaking down is trying to find solutions to build itself back up. And the spirits that are going to that part of the inspiration, that sort of immortal God figure, to bring the light back into it so it can transform as well. It's like ascending right along with us. And as it ascends and we ascend together to the next level of experience, that in a way, on some level, will always be kind of like sheep following sheep, even when we try to stand alone and sort of stand and make our own sort of statement in the world. It would be very hard as a 3D mind to be able to interpret a 4D space. So instinct first, intuition. But patience also is a part of this, and nothing is ever lost. Everything is always simply gained. So I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and thank you again for being a part of this experience with me.